31 with the airlines and retired at 55 and. He just wasn't quite ready, so I've been a funeral director for 22 years now.
Yeah,
I just renewed my license for 2 years, so
there you go.
I've got a good working relationship with my guys, so we have 4 funeral homes.
Yeah.
I just work when I want, well, I'm getting my research now, so yeah. With the actors. You know. Keyboard there. Is that the enter here? What's that? I heard it says right.
In the front,
Go.
really?
That's right, yeah, I said it going to Washington.
How you doing? Good. You ready for this new Congress now?
We got a name, we got it right.
In your neighborhood,
You might need to do sometimes,
Okay.
so I mean, it's up to you. It's required to.
Okay.
So, yeah, you can do often, I heard people say, you know, my spouse goes over and whatever.
Okay. Okay.
I want to see. I want to see if it's- You're job.
Julian,
Ah,
Julian.
no, you got plan, being a chair.
Okay.
Yeah. The group and then doing some wine and crying.
Somebody's gonna say that.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay too.
How you like your little gas here?
His daughter just flew in from Australia.
Uh-huh.
Brought me to the council meeting tonight. And I had to respond to Saturday. She's a dentist and moved to Australia and then she's on Friday. She's a doctor. So happy to see him and it's gonna be.
My wife had surgery in her ankle back in the end of September. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It worked out for you. Hope it worked out for you.
Yeah, well, he's got a good record, Dr. Fisher.
I got what condition.
Sure, yeah. I emailed Molly.
Thank you. Yeah,
And she said, okay, I'll let him know in the morning.
okay. I did send him an email about the other services. So yeah, yeah.
Hi. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
I do apologize for running out. So
Oh, no, no, you're fine. You're fine. No, it's not.
so many people.
Oh.
It's mad I got home and-
She just saw me. There you go. I'm just.
Well, husband, she- so-
Yeah, no, we just.
Hey, I just. Or I should be.
And we're always here, so if you have anything you need, you know, we're around.
Me
So
too.
never leave, so.
Home away from
Yes, congratulations.
Go home. Close enough to the hospital. It's a girl. It is. That's, it's a. Your midsection. There's no way, it's just graduate. So. I started. I got that very well. Going.
speaker.
And my knees, somebody's had been working on my knees, sometimes. Fisher. Been working on it a couple of years ago. He finally, I saw him, it's out and about. Oh, I said, he said, "Oh, how do you do it?" Well, I think you want to- Usually. I said, it's not really happening. You need to tell Shall I keep on it? Your wife.
Yeah.
So went in and. looked up. And the science raised and where they put it down, you come out and say, we're ready.
Hello, Mark.
So I had.
Congratulations
Thank
again.
Thank you.
Nervous?
Yeah. Just.
You'll be fine.
Well, I'm gonna be a pain in the neck right off the bat. Because I'm asking
No, it's not that.
Oh.
Wow. Do you know, this is Mark, like that, this is my husband, Jim. I think you're about 4. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I was 15 on top, that was 4 months. And I feel 5 or 6 hours in between. You don't do that.
Yeah.
Why should I pay?
Oh,
It's
well.
not gonna hurt you.
Yeah, so here's my issue. Yeah, it's a problem with that.
And he's salesman.
Oh,
So.
And,
That would be a great question.
Oh, I called him. Yeah, called him this morning.
Basically put a recliner-
So, and Tyler.
Yeah,
They said-
that's my.
You know,
other
they're
issue. I do this.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Actually, I do lay down on the bed. In the middle during the day.
Yeah.
KFAB. So anyway, then I lay on the couch.
Well, there's always that.
It doesn't build me up. My wife even got a heavier or different type of pillow, so it's saying it didn't help. And the other thing, she went down stress and got me a bit. that,
Sure.
you know, Yeah, and so that does, I can't really sleep in that either.
Well, I can
Why they don't get rid of that?
I think that my wedding then. Probably.
Yeah, it's not demand.
Yeah, yeah.
Wife called it flexible.
There comes an end.
How you doing?
Good, man.
See you.
Been talking.
Yeah. You ready? We all.
Last time I'm gonna be here to get your mail.
That was your job. Somehow that turned out.
Yeah, Aaron.
Yeah, well.
Good.
And say thank you. Well, thanks. You know, it's been very. That's the. People starting in the church. Sending me cards, stuff saying.
Being, well, not added, the only part is they can clean about better out there.
Oh, yeah, it's all better.
That's what I thought.
I didn't think anyone ever noticed, and now that I'm leaving, I recall.
I never.
Yeah, shut it and built it.
Thanks for your help, Brad. So they really did. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Well, it's this much of the old building with.
Thanks for your help.
So then.
I appreciate your help. So.
You think more like it goes in concept then down to the south here then, is that what I was seeing?
Down to the south, no, the old building had the staff areas and the
Yeah.
counter here.
Yeah,
In the new building, it's all here, the front counters are on here. I mean, on here.
Hey.
Yeah. And the elevator is right around to the left, with the stairs just around the loose. You don't have to walk halfway across the building. Yeah.
where you get the high guy in there.
Way back here it is.
Down first floor,
Yeah.
oh, the tree been working out over there.
The holiday tree.
Yeah.
It's great.
They're
We had a little pickup with.
Yeah, yeah. Should have been first in the order, it just doesn't show up that way, so. Yep, we kind of have to do that first.
He just said, I took a look at it and I.
Yep.
Said, thank you very much.
I know you sent me an email, but the city has given me.
Yeah, that's what yeah.
So they've done it for all the other people I've seen. They've always asked, okay, you're gonna return. It's like, there's nothing to
Yeah,
return.
yeah. So, yeah. Okay, thank you.
I remember you talking about that. You know about that thing? And no board that actually was up on the road.
Here, we think about the new football.
We've got a dedicated
I like it.
line that goes-
He's saying all the right things, that's for sure. Great attitude, looks like he's a hard worker. We've been kind of burned so many times, so kind of gotta wait to the field, but. You know. Hi, Linda. Hi, great to see you.
I don't know.
Young guy.
We did. They will, yeah, so I'm staying kind of right out here. Those incumbents. are gonna stay in the seats, but New ones, yeah, we kind of staying right out here. And, we'll go through the proceedings, so. That's what mine.
So, but that's one of the-
And when you burn out.
Didn't hurt a thing, read that.
This thing.
Didn't hurt a thing.
Yeah, so.
Our met Linda.
And,
Lori and Jim. Lori and I have been meeting each other.
50.
No, it's actually been good.
That's the-
Very good.
Yeah.
Working. And you get a ton of Depends on- And something or something
We
happens.
just, I think we sat on the tip of the iceberg.
So at the end of the prior one, the other folks kind of shaking
That's
hands.
exactly right.
That's sitting there, and then
When you.
all the next meeting order, and then just kind of take their seats.
I'll call them.
Okay.
So,
Anyway, so.
so they will be enrolled, even though we haven't.
Yeah, I think if we look back, if I look back at the meeting, I think when they voted on this.
Good for you.
2020, the new people were included in this vote, so they basically organized themselves.
Okay.
You could go all down all kinds of rabbit holes.
No, I agree.
Is it a conflict of interest? People, you know, it's,
So-
I mean.
I'll go down.
So, yeah. Yep. Okay.
And then,
Yeah. Here's the other question.
yeah,
They didn't even talk about. Like at the airport.
Okay.
See if they can catch it.
It wasn't really. I'm not bringing it.
I don't know how would I. Well, I read the article. It's like they're up at 100% or something like that.
Right. I did ask you that.
It's not that simple of a conversation.
Hey, I seen a couple posts from Casey about, did you have a child that was at the? That's why it's. Oh, you did?
Good to see you. Congratulations.
Really? I just,
Very good.
it kind of started pouring me, our middle child.
So
was,
for both of you
was
tonight.
born at 7 months, and he spent 3 months at the NICU in Omaha. And he was born in October, so he was there over Christmas. So he was there for 3 months.
So they will get out of their seats and then.
Before that,
meeting
that's.
starts. You'll be a part of the roll call for the first, first item of business. So you'll stand up and at that point, you'll do the oath and then.
It is,
Yep, from your seat. Simple as okay. Simple as can be. I like that.
yes. That was, I saw that in the. Said, well,
Yeah.
Iris, and that was back in the early 80s. So we cool. We were in charge of territory. Not completely, but I mean, it's different than it is now.
Kind of looked at that today and said, that ain't gonna work. So, yeah. Right.
I'm remembering the things that.
Yeah.
His lump was developed. And that's what kept him there for as long as it did. And then a lot of things for a couple, 3 years afterwards.
No, that's.
And that's where our Rick is at, is that he's been fine. I mean, he had some on the people a while, but now it's, yeah, it's kind of amazing some things they can do. That also makes how much. Oh, yeah. And ours was, I mean, and we got them, of course, when we were in, we went to, she was. Yeah, we would get these things. And it was like-
There's things, grab it. They can take it
The
into the
name plate on the.
$86 a day. Oh, okay. No, Rick was at UNMC down deep down in interesting.
The outside.
Oh, absolutely.
I have 10 minutes, I can manage.
Some things do change. Discovered that.
They're done.
Thanks a lot. Thanks. Put them out. So I've seen it happen two ways. You either accept the nominations and then pass the ballots.
I still on my bike. On my laptop.
Send that nice note. Town meeting.
What's that?
We have to make it somewhat festive. I know. Well, thank you.
I like your scarf.
Thank you. Congratulations. Hey, Tyler. Is everything working?
Not the vote. It's always got voice votes, two-way street.
Well, happy holidays.
Hey, thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Yeah, the colored ones.
Thank you very much. They wanted the first guy to say.
What makes the bathroom?
Yeah. I think either one. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you got a turn down. Different things. Like 5 or 6. Whether.
They don't have.
Must be, I didn't realize, I didn't know that, so. That's it.
Oh. Because. Money.
Yeah, yeah.
Well.
Everything for them.
Bring the new council.
Yeah.
Hey, you owe me money.
I got it. Yes, I got it in my wallet. Yeah, yeah. Here, I'll give it to you now so I don't forget. I got a roast from Mr. Oh, thank you. I got a, what do you call it? Flip on. There you go. It's a big prime rib. Actually, I cut it into steaks, so. Yeah, it's pretty reasonable. I did. Oh, yeah, I don't mess around. I got home and I cut them in steaks. I just think that.
You have vacuum seal dry back or?
I just close it as tight as I can. That's what I did with the last. And then we're good. Maybe. Too late for that. It does kind of bring me back. I didn't work. My dad was worked for Wimmer's Meats in Dodge for 25 years.
Oh, sure.
So, you know, it's kind of in my blood, I guess, even though I didn't really, he was kind of past that.
Yeah.
You know, when he married my mom. So, yeah, good. Yeah.
I always told kids, I look my steaks in the eyes. So I did. Oh, really?
Yeah, there's not just on face value. So many things are really kind of other things. Probably is why it's the same ones. That way, yeah, I'm sure it's so. It's kind of cool to go out and different ways. I think it's to learn. Word you have. Yeah, Brian.
Yeah.
Won't be the first. Yeah. What was the name of it? So it's a restaurant DM box. So the signal goes from here to some boxes, and it goes to that machine in the back room, and then up into the ceiling. And then there's a box that takes that signal, shoots it to another box, and then takes the signal to these two. And shoots it.
Okay.
So the one box. It's you know, like $1 million on eBay. So.
I will.
Okay, the time is 7 o'clock. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, before we begin, we do have a slight change in the agenda. We will start with a community development agency meeting. And we're also again going to have to do a voice votes tonight. We did find a faulty piece of equipment that we have to try to get ordered and get that figured out. So we did figure out the problem, but hopefully soon we'll get back to the regular voting. So I'll go ahead and open up the community development agency meeting. The time is 7 o'clock. The Opens Meeting Act is posted on the rear wall next to the agendas. This time we'll have roll call.
Gibson,
Yes.
Ellis,
Here.
Ganem,
Here.
Yerger,
Here.
Jensen,
Here.
Sukram,
Here.
Legband,
Here.
Vaughn,
Here.
8 council members present, Mayor.
Item 1 on the agenda is consider authorizing Community Development Agency Chairperson to sign certificate of completion for RD leasing.
Thank you, Mayor Travis Jaycott, City Attorney. This is being provided at the request of the developer RD Leasing LLC. As you are aware, the CDA and the City Council approved a redevelopment agreement with them back in 2020 in September. And we've since amended that redevelopment agreement, and the amendment called for a series of phases for the project. They have completed phase 1. So pursuant to the agreement, we are authorizing the certificate of completion. I don't know if the developer is here or not, but I can take any questions you may have.
Any questions for legal counsel in regards to this item? Okay. Any comments from the public? Seeing no comments, any additional comments from council? If there are none, I would take a motion on this item.
So moved.
Okay. And it does work. Yeah. I still have this, so. Moved by, we'll take that motion by Councilman Vaughn, Councilman Legband.
I'll second.
Okay.
Jensen.
Yes.
Sukram.
Yes.
Legband. Vaughn,
Yes.
Yerger.
Yes.
Ganem,
Yes.
Ellis, Gibson. The motion carries 8-0, Mayor.
Okay, take a motion to adjourn the Community Development Agency. Councilman Sukram,
Motion to adjourn.
Councilman Jensen,
A second.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Legband,
Yes.
Sukram.
Yeah.
Jensen,
Yes.
Yerger.
Yes.
Ganem,
Yes.
Ellis, Gibson.
Yes.
The motion carries 8-0 to adjourn, Mayor.
we are adjourned. I'll now open up the final meeting of the 2020-2022 City Council. The time is 7:03. The Opens Meeting Act is posted on the rear wall next to the agendas. At this time, we'll have roll call.
Gibson,
Yes.
Ellis,
Yeah.
Ganem,
Yes.
Yerger,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Sukram,
Yeah.
Legband, Vaughn.
Yes.
8 council members are present, Mayor.
Okay, next is mayor's comments. As I said, to open the meeting, tonight is the final meeting of the 2020-2022 City Council. And what I'd like to do tonight is recognize the 2 council members that will be outgoing and thank them for their service to the city of Fremont. First, I would like to present Councilman Brad Yerger in recognition for years of service on the Fremont City Council from 2018 to 2022. Thank you.
Picture.
Photo walk.
And then finally, I would like to recognize Councilman Mark Legband in recognition for years of service on the city council from 2014 to 2022 and as city council president from 2020 to 2022. Thank you, Councilman Legband. I can tell you any public service is worthy of recognition. It's not an easy job and it's a lot of time and a lot of effort. And so again, I want to thank both of the council members for their service to the city. Okay, we'll move on to item 1, which is dispense with and approve November 29, 2022 city council meeting minutes and Board of Equalization minutes. I would take a motion in regards to this item. Councilman Jensen,
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Councilman Sukram,
I'll second.
Yerger. Ganem,
Yes.
Ellis. Gibson. Jensen,
Yes.
Sukram.
Yeah.
Lake Band. Vaughn.
Yes.
Motion carries 8-0, Mayor.
and then item 2 is a resolution 2022-220 regarding return of city property by council members Lake Band and Yerger. Staff report.
Mayor and council, we did receive confirmation that they were not in possession of any items of the city. And so I am prepared to sign the certificate and make that good. And so I would ask that the council approve resolution 2022-220.
Okay, Councilwoman Ganem,
So moved.
Councilman Vaughn,
And I'll second.
Jensen,
Yes.
Sukram.
Yeah.
Lake Band,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Yerger.
I'll vote yes, unless I should abstain because it's about my return.
Ganem,
good.
Ellis, Gibson. The motion carries 8-0, Mayor.
I would take a motion to adjourn sine die for the 2020-2022 city council. Councilman Jensen,
I'll make that motion.
Councilman Gibson,
I'll second.
Gibson.
Yes.
Ellis.
Yes.
Ganem,
Yes.
Yerger.
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Sukram.
Yep.
Lake Band, Vaughn.
Yes.
Motion carries 8-0, Mayor.
we are adjourned.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If the newly elected council members would like to come up and take their seats, please.
Yes.
Okay, I'll open the city council regular meeting. The time is 7:08. The Opens Meeting Act is posted on the rear wall next to the agendas. This time we'll have roll call.
Gibson,
Yes.
Ellis. Ganem,
Yes.
Lathrop,
Yes.
Jensen,
Here?
Sukram,
Yes.
Von Baron,
Yes.
Vaughn.
Yes.
8 council members are present, Mayor.
All right, I don't have any specific comments for this meeting. We'll go ahead and move on to the first item on the agenda, which is a resolution 2022-221 regarding qualification of Paul Von Baron, Glenn Ellis, Mark W. Jensen, and Lori Schmidt Lathrop as elected officers. We'll have staff report.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Attached in the backup is the results of the canvassing board from the county. I have received bonds from the newly elected members. And so that would put us in a position to be able to approve 2022-221 regarding the qualification of these elected members. And so I would ask that this council take action to approve.
Okay. Okay, Councilman Von Baron. Okay. Are there any comments from the public? And just know if you press your button and your light's on, you're gonna show up on my iPad up here. So just FYI. Okay, Councilwoman Ganem.
I move we approve resolution 2022-221 regarding the qualifications.
Councilman Sukram.
I'll second.
Jensen,
Yes.
Sukram,
Yeah.
Von Baron,
Abstain.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Gibson,
Yes.
Ellis,
Yes.
Ganem,
He just
Yes.
abstained because he was.
Lathrop.
That's all.
Yes.
The motion carries 7-0 with one abstention, Mayor.
Okay, our city attorney, Mr. Travis Jaycock, will now give the oath of office to the newly elected city council members. So would you all please stand?
Is that all four or just the two new?
All four, please.
Yeah, they didn't give me one.
Okay. I state your name.
I, Mark Jensen,
Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Nebraska against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
do solemnly swear I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the United States of Nebraska against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
It was repeat after me. Yeah, you can hear it. All council member, we're just doing it all at once. So.
Oh, okay,
all
I'm
at once.
sorry.
Yep. That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
Allegiance are the same.
That I take this obligation freely and without mental reservation or for purpose of evasion.
That I take this obligation freely without mental reservation or for the purpose of evasion.
And that I will faithfully and impartially perform the duties of the office of city council.
And that I will faithfully and impartially perform the duties of city council member
According to law and to the best of my ability.
according to the law and to the best of my ability.
And I do further swear that I do not advocate nor am I a member of any political party or organization that advocates for the overthrow of the government of the United States or this state by force or violence.
And I do further swear that I do not advocate, nor am I a member of any political party or organization that advocates the overthrow of the government of the United States. This by force of violence.
And that during such time as I am in this position, I will not advocate for nor become a member of any political party or organization.
And that during such time that I am in this decision, I will not advocate nor become a member of any political organization or party that advocates
For the overthrow of the government of the United States or of this state by force or violence, so help me God.
The overthrow of the government of the United States or of this state by force or violence, so help me God.
All right.
We did it. Congratulations. Congratulations to all new council members. Okay, our next item of business is to item 2, which is the election of the president of the city council. So at this time, are there any nominations to be made for council president by the city council? Councilman Gibson.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to put in nomination Mark W. Jensen as the council president.
Are there any other nominations for council president? Councilman Vaughn.
I too would nominate Mark Jensen.
Okay. And this, if there, and what we'll do is we'll take all the nominations if there, and then we will do a actual vote, ballot vote. So, are there any other nominations?
There's not any other nominations. You might be able to do a voice vote.
Okay. I don't see any other nominations for council president. I would then, there have been 2 nominations for Councilman Mark W. Jensen. I would take a voice vote in regards to this. There's no other nominations. Okay, go ahead.
Gibson.
Yes.
Ellis. Ganem.
Yes.
Lathrop.
Yes.
Jensen.
Yes.
Sukram.
Yes.
Von Baron.
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
the motion carried, the nomination is 8-0.
Okay. Congratulations to new council president, Mark Jensen.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to item 3, which is a motion to adopt the current agenda for the December 13th, 2022 regular meeting. Are there any changes to the agenda being proposed? Councilwoman Lathrop.
I'd like to remove number 9 from the consent agenda, please.
Okay. Okay, any other items to be moved or any items to be changed on the agenda? Councilman Ellis.
Number 6, please, just for some discussion.
Okay. If there's no other changes. And usually I get to the consent agenda and then we're able to take items off. So, but I would take a motion to approve the agenda, removing items 6 and 9 from the consent agenda. Councilman Jensen.
I will make that motion.
Okay. Councilman Sukram.
I will second that.
Vaughn.
Yes.
Von Baron,
Yes.
Sukram,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Lathrop,
Yes.
Ganem,
Yes.
Ellis, Gibson. The motion carries 8-0, Mayor.
Okay, again, now we move on to the consent agenda, which is all items in the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the city council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member or a citizen so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. I'll give another opportunity if there's any items to be removed from the consent agenda. Okay, by the council, staff, or the public. Go ahead.
Susan Jacobus, 1805 North D Street, Fremont. I'd like item number 4 removed just for some minor questions, and also 13 and 14.
14 is on unfinished business. So. Okay. Then I would take a motion to approve the consent.
Fred Yerger, 2318 East Fifth Street. I'd like an opportunity to speak briefly to item 10, 11, and 12.
Okay, I take a motion, if there's no other items to approve consent agenda, items 5, 7, and 8. Councilman Sukram.
I'll make that motion for 5, 7, and 8.
Councilwoman Ganem.
Second.
Gibson.
Yes.
Ellis. Ganem.
Yes.
Lathrop.
Yes.
Vaughn.
Yes.
Von Baron,
Yes.
Sukram,
Yes.
Jensen.
Yes.
The motion carries 8-0, Mayor.
Okay, item 4 is a motion to approve November 30th, 2022 through December 13th, 2022 claims and authorized checks to be drawn on the proper accounts. Go ahead with the question.
Susan Jacobus, 1805 North D Street here in Fremont. I just had a few minor questions, and the first one was regarding Baird and Home. We have Adams and Sullivan as having billed out just short of 36,000 for the month, but we also have Baird Home as billing us out for $4,000, and I just wondered what that was in regards to. And my second question was in regards to Mitchell and Associates LLC. It's an appraisal group of 8,500, and I wondered what the project or structure or land that we had asked them to appraise were in regards to. Third question, Nebraska Work Comp Court, there was $2,000 paid out. And again, what was that in regards to? Was it a claim against the city? Was it something we routinely pay to a group to protect us or to oversee workman's comp? The fourth one was Rainwood Development Partners. They were formerly the Tetrad Property Group. They deal with real estate and construction for private and public partnerships. I just wondered what they were on our expenditure report for, what they had done for the city in regards to their billing. And then the last one, and I assume this is probably routine, I just don't recall the name. I can't even say it. For this, the LLC group or the group that does accounting, and it was on the Keno grants thing. And that's probably something simple that we routinely do annually, but it just seemed like an odd time if that's something we have to do at the end of the year for an accounting firm. So those are minor questions, nothing earth shattering or that I'm against paying. I just would like an answer to those questions if somebody at the council level could take that onus on and ask them. Thank you.
Okay, any additional comments from council? Councilman Ellis?
Yeah, our Director of Finance, can we get an overview of those answers?
Dan Global Finance Director, bear with me while I go through them. The Baird Home one is for the library bonds that were recently issued. We used Baird Home as legal counsel on that transaction. Mitchell and Associates, I can't remember off the top of my head exactly which locations those are, so I might refer to city administrator on that one.
They're just for prospective real estate that we are considering purchasing.
For the Rainwood, that was for the library expansion. And Forvis is for the Keno compliance procedures, and that has a different deadline than our normal audit does. So they've already started work on that and are wrapping that up. The Nebraska Workers' Comp Court for 2,000. Do you happen to know off the top of your head?
That's a statutory requirement. We pay that every year because we're self-insured for workers' comp.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, there's no other comments from council. I would take a motion to approve the claims. Councilman Vaughn?
Motion to approve.
Councilwoman Ganem?
Second.
Jensen,
Yes.
Sukram,
Yes.
Von Baron,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Lathrop,
Yes.
Ganem,
Yes.
Ellis, Gibson. The motion carries 8-0, Mayor.
Okay, item 6 is a resolution 2022-222 confirming the city of Fremont's procedure for complying with the Open Meetings Act. Any staff report on this item?
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. This is an item that comes through at the first meeting of a new council, just kind of to get the information out there and ensure that we're complying with the Open Meetings Act. We put our agenda on the website, notices in the newspaper, and we post the notice down on the board in the lobby of the building. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Questions, Councilman Ellis?
Thank you, Tyler, for answering that. I know I talked with you earlier today. Yep. Is there a chance that we as a city could look in posting our agendas and our meetings on Facebook as well? And I did ask that beforehand. I didn't know if that was possible.
I haven't had a chance to talk to Angie yet, but once I do that, I'll be able to report back and see if
I just know some cities are starting to do that more and more. So thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, any comments from the public? Go ahead.
Susan Jacobus, 1805 North D Street here in Fremont. I would ask if all of you, all 8 of you now seated, congratulations on the newly seated, if you've actually read the Opens Meeting Act, or if you have been given a full copy of it at hand rather than what has been opined by the Attorney General. The state statute is not that lengthy. It is something that I think prior to consideration of this tonight, even though it's somewhat routine, you should understand what's in it. I would venture that somewhat better than the majority has not read through the entirety. You have several committees and groups that do not adhere to the Opens Meeting Act. One of them is something minuscule in nature, but there's a requirement in there that minutes of governing bodies publish their minutes, even if they're a draft, within 10 days or at the next meeting, whichever comes first. And I know that the Airport Advisory Committee, the Planning Commission, the BID, and the Park and Recs do not, as does not the council. More than 14 days expend between, and when we have 3 weeks, those minutes don't come out until the Wednesday prior to the meeting. So if we're going to consider the resolution to be reaffirmed, not an issue, but at the very least, each and every one of you should have a copy at your desk and be somewhat familiar with it, or acknowledge that each and every one of you is familiar with it, so that as you move forward in your governance and your responsibility, you understand what it is you're adhering to before you take the vote. Thank you.
Brad Yerger, 2318 East Fifth Street. I'd like to offer some documents for the record before I begin speaking, if that's okay.
Councilman Jensen,
I'll make the motion to receive.
Councilman Sukram,
Second.
Gibson. Ellis. Ganem.
Yes.
Lathrop.
Yes.
Jensen.
Yes.
Sukram.
Yes.
Von Baron.
Yes.
Vaughn.
Yes.
The motion carries 8-0, Mayor.
I'd like to start by just saying the Open Meetings Act is critical and effective. It's critical to effective government management and lawful management of the city. And as a result of that, in light of statements that were just made by another representative of the public and former council member, I would suggest that the council truly should continue this item to the next meeting in order to give at least the newly seated council members the opportunity to review the Open Meetings Act language that they're being asked to recognize and opine on with regards to this resolution. However, if you choose not to continue this item, I've offered 2 documents for you for the record tonight for your consideration, as well as the thoughts that I'm about to give you. The Nebraska Open Meetings Act is currently covered in statutes 84, 1407 through 1415. The act sets forth numerous definitions, procedures, and requirements for conducting public meetings in the state of Nebraska. The act sets forth specific requirements, not only for scheduling public notices, but agenda content and the availability and timing of minutes of public meetings. The AG has opined on much of the material contained in the Open Meetings Act, and specifically has discussed the purpose and construction of the act, as well as the requirements for public notices, agenda specificity, and the publication of minutes. In discussing the act's construction, the AG has stated the following: the open meetings law should be broadly interpreted and liberally construed to obtain their objective of openness in favor of the public. The AG has also rendered opinions specifically on sections 84.11, 84.14.11, and 84.14.13 that give interpretation with regards to not only public notices, but the agenda specificity and the timing and publication of minutes. They've all been highlighted in that document that I presented you in red. I believe the highlighted areas of compliance are worthy of recognition if the council intends to pass a resolution regarding the city's adherence to key areas of the Open Meetings Act. These areas have been highlighted for you in the handout, so I encourage you to take a look at those while I'm speaking. Given the importance of these highlighted areas of the act, if the council needs and intends to adopt a resolution tonight endorsing the city's adherence to the Open Meetings Act, I would further offer and recommend that the pending resolution be amended to at least include, in addition to the intent and approach to the open meetings public notice, that it include a reference to the statutory provisions of state law that are pertinent, and a reference to the general purpose and directives of the public notices, as well as the agendas and minutes. So you have that as the other second handout that I have, which is the alternate language that would incorporate both of those recommendations. So in conclusion, I would respectively ask this council to continue this item to give the new folks and those that haven't looked at the Open Meetings Act for some time an opportunity to further review this, and to not just focus on the publication of notice, but the other requirements that are necessary and key elements of the Open Meetings Act. If you don't choose to continue the item, then please consider adopting the alternate language recommendation that I put before you tonight as an alternative. Thank you.
Any additional comments? Okay. Councilman Vaughn?
Question for legal, are we complying as is?
I'm not aware of any violations of the Open Meetings Act now. And the new council members have been briefed on the requirements of the Open Meetings Act, similar to all other council members for orientation.
Thank you.
Councilman Jensen?
Yeah, that was basically my question. I was going to ask the new council members. I know you did orientation and I thank the staff for providing that for new council members. I know it was something pretty new when I first came on that was very valuable. And I'm just asking that if the new council members were made aware of open meetings violation and the different things that are required to maintain those.
Councilman Ellis?
To put a broad spectrum on saying that we're compliant, I kind of disagree with that. I mean, all it takes is for us to do one little agenda item and we're not compliant. So I understand that we have made a lot of progress in improving our minutes, improving our meeting agendas, and I gotta put a lot of thanks into Tyler for doing that. But I still think we have some work to do, making sure that the citizens of the Fremont can read our agenda and not have to go into backup and understand each and every item and what it's going to contain. So I think we still have some work to be done, but I do know that we've made a lot of progress. So I do appreciate the work that we have made to improve our meeting notes, our meeting minutes, but I don't think the job is over. I think we have work to be diligent in keeping it good. Thank you.
Councilman Von Baron.
Just a couple of things. During orientation, we have been briefed in general on the Open Meetings Act, but I'll admit I have not read it. We were also given a copy of the Attorney General's opinion, which is good, which is about 44 pages, and I have to admit I have not read that either. My question is that if there is a requirement for something, for example, minutes to be submitted in a timely manner, and we are not. I mean, I realize that's not an end of the world task, but if we're not in compliance on something that basic, it's a little hard for me to support citing a resolution that we are in compliance with the Open Meetings Act.
Okay. I'll just say, I've been involved in going over the agendas and looking at the agendas and trying to understand staff and how they come up with, and work extremely hard to put these agendas together, from 17 items to 30 to, all the requirements and reporting requirements. And, I'll just second the fact with Tyler and your hard work and what the amount of work that you do to do everything you can to keep this city going in a compliant manner. And I just want to thank you and staff. It is every 2 weeks, there's a lot of time and effort putting into just the city council meeting agendas, let alone all the other city boards that we have. And there are lots of city boards that we have. So, it is a focus, and we are working extremely hard to do everything that we need to do. And so I just want to again thank you, Tyler, for your hard work. Councilwoman Ganem.
I would reiterate somewhat what you've said as well, too. The council members, as all adults we have, we can certainly go back and read it. I don't think we have to delay it to have time to read it and then come back, but to read it and certainly maybe consider resolution 2022-222, because it is very specific and it does give us those hooks to hang on.
Okay, any additional comments from council? There's no comments. Take a motion to approve resolution 2022-222. Councilman Jensen.
I will make that motion.
Councilman Vaughn.
I will second.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Von Baron,
No.
Sukram,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Lathrop,
Yes.
Ganem,
No.
Ellis.
Yes.
Gibson,
Yes.
motion carries 6-2, Mayor.
Okay. Okay, moving on to item 9 is resolution 2022 to accept state of Nebraska contract for a bid to purchase a new 2023 Dodge Ram 1500 four-wheel drive extended cab pickup truck for the city street department. So I believe this is taken off by Councilwoman Lathrop, so.
I asked to remove that item. I'm going to be abstaining from the vote on that as my husband is a sales manager at Gene Steffi's.
Okay. Are there any other comments from council on this item? Take a motion to, in regards to this item. Councilman Sukram.
I'll make the motion to approve resolution 2022-225.
Councilman Jensen.
I will second.
Okay, Gibson.
Yes.
Ellis.
Yeah.
Ganem,
Yes.
Lathrop,
Abstain.
Jensen,
Yes.
Sukram,
Yes.
Von Baron,
Yes.
Vaughn.
Yes.
The motion carries 8-0, Mayor.
No,
I'm sorry, 7-0 with one abstention, Mayor.
there you go. Okay, moving on to item 10 is resolution 2022-226, authorizing the Fremont Department of Utility staff to purchase two 750 kVA three-phase pad-mounted transformers from Sunbelt Solomon. That's a tongue twister, Jeff.
I hear you.
Okay. Go ahead.
Mayor, City Council, Jeff Shanahan, Utility Manager. We went out, we're looking to restock our couple transformers, went out for bids. Solomon was the low bid and the quickest provider. These are used transformers from Solomon, but we get a little bit longer warranty on them. Lead times on transformers is kind of extremely difficult, so we want to get them in as quick as we can. So I'll take any questions on it.
Okay. Questions for our utility general manager? Thank you. Comments from the public?
Brad Yerger, 2318 East Fifth Street, and I'll be quick on these. First of all, I want to just say, this has to do with amending the resolution, which we've done on many occasions. In particular, the final paragraph of the resolution, which is the now be it therefore resolved statement or the ordering statement associated with the resolution. I want to say to staff that we have come a long ways with regards to the completeness of content on all these resolutions. And so these recommendations that I'm making this evening are quite small, but I still think because they're in the ordering paragraphs that they're relevant. And on this particular one in item 10, I would recommend to the council that they add the word "to" at the end of the first line to identify and clarify what the quantity is. I know it's stated in the opening narrative that you're buying two. The whereas statements provide further information, but the resolution ordering statement doesn't specifically call for there to be two. And there shouldn't be any confusion as to whether you're buying two or you're just buying three. It says three-phase transformers. If you read everything, it's clear that they're three-phase transformers and you're only buying two. But if you put that in the ordering paragraph in the now be therefore statement, it would be much clearer. And I encourage you to do that. It would take an amendment by someone to do that tonight. Thank you.
Okay. Additional comments from the public? Additional comments from council on this resolution? Councilman Vaughn?
What is apparent to me is that this is a technicality that doesn't really have any bearing on the topic at hand. It's not going to affect anything. And if legal would second the, my opinion that this is a non-relevant issue, then I would propose we just move forward as is.
Travis Shakeout, City Attorney, it's not needed to effectuate what the resolution is supposed to. That would just be a policy preference of the council.
Okay, any additional comments from council? If there's no comments, I take a motion in regards to this item. Councilman Jensen?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Okay.
Gibson?
I need a second. Councilman Von Baron.
I'll second that.
Okay. Now you go ahead.
Gibson? Ellis? Ganem? Lathrop?
Yes.
Jensen?
Yes.
Sukram?
Yes.
Von Baron?
Yes.
Vaughn?
Yes.
The motion carries 8-0, Mayor.
Okay, moving on to item 11 is a resolution 2022-228 to authorize staff to enter into a 2-year agreement with Midwest Employers for workers' compensation excess coverage.
Jennifer McDuffie, Director of Human Resources. Try to keep this simple. So as Jody mentioned during one of the questions about the claims, we are self-insured for workers' compensation. As self-insured, we do take out what's called reinsurance, which if you think of like your medical insurance, the reinsurance event is a $6,000 SIR. That's basically like $600,000 SIR. That's basically like a $600,000 deductible on each claim. So we're responsible for the first $600,000 on each claim. Then after that, then the insurance would take over. This is a calendar year plan. So we're up for renewal for January 1st. We went out for bids. We are currently with Safety National. I believe we're at a $600,000 without double checking. SIR, one of the things that's coming through that we're seeing from these reinsurance carriers is that they are wanting to put police and firefighters at a higher SIR, a higher deductible amount. And that's what we saw this year. So you have all the bid information in your packets. Midwest Employers came back with the cheapest rate. It's actually a reduction from what we're paying this year. So, and they also gave us the opportunity to sign a 2-year contract, which would lock the rates in for 2 years. I don't think insurance is going to get any cheaper, so we'd like to go ahead and lock them in for 2 years so we don't have to worry about a rate increase next year. So, I believe that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
Any questions, Councilman Vaughn?
Can you explain or give us the numbers as far as the increases for fire and police?
It's $100,000. So it'd be $600,000 for everybody for all other claims. And then for police and fire, it's $100,000 or an additional $100,000. So it's $700,000. There are things when it comes to law enforcement and firefighter professionals, I'll say that are above and beyond what we would be responsible for covering for a non-law enforcement or firefighter employee. And that's why these carriers tend to want to see that higher increase. At least that's what they're telling us. So, and it makes sense. So.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay.
Nope, that was my question.
Okay. Any other questions from the city council? Okay. All right. Comments from the public?
Brad Yerger, 2318 East Fifth Street. Again, I'll be brief. This again has to do with the now be it therefore resolved statement. The ordering paragraph in this resolution doesn't reflect who you're going to pay, which is Midwest Employers. So I would recommend you modify or amend this resolution to include to Midwest Employers after the word coverage in the second line to identify who specifically is being paid.
Any other comments from the public? Okay. Additional comments from council? There's no other comments. Councilman Vaughn?
The Midwest Employers is noted in the first sentence of the resolution, so I just don't see the need to amend any further. I'd make a motion to approve as is.
Councilman Jensen?
I will second.
Jensen?
Yes.
Sukram?
Yes.
Von Baron?
Yes.
Vaughn?
Yes.
Lathrop?
Yes.
Ganem?
Yes.
Ellis? Gibson?
Yes.
Motion carries 8-0, Mayor.
Okay, item 12 is resolution 2022-229 to authorize renewing workers' compensation claims administration services with TriStar for the 2023 calendar year.
Jennifer McDuffie, Director of Human Resources. So this is the claims administration side of our workers' compensation. We currently have a contract with TriStar to process all of our claims, determine what's compensable, what's not compensable under the state workers' compensation law, and then pay those payments for us. So they process the claims for us. We went out for bid. Basically what it came down to is these TPAs have a minimum fee that you have to pay. TriStar's is the lowest. So we're recommending that we stay with TriStar. They do a good job for us. We've had good luck with them. So happy to take questions.
Questions for our HR director? Councilman Jensen.
So this is for a 1-year agreement, not like 2-year, the question before?
TriStar is only offering one.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you. Comments from the public?
Brad Yerger, 2318 East Fifth Street, broken record, I guess, with regards to the now be it therefore statements. And I only will mention it again this evening and get up on this item since you decided not to make these changes on the other items tonight. So you may not want to do this one either, but this resolution, again, in the ordering statement in the last paragraph, does not name TriStar as the person being paid. And I didn't note this, but if in fact, Council, the previous question was, what's the length of term of this contract? That's also very pertinent information. And if that's not in the ordering clause, it should be, because you should know the who, what, where, and how long of what you are ordering. And the ordering paragraph is what gives you the detail of what you're actually approving. So I would encourage staff to try to do that in the future. Therefore, we wouldn't have to have these discussions, and apologize to council for even bringing some of these up that may seem rather minuscule, I suppose, but having an accurate and complete record for both the city and the public and for you for reference as to what did I approve, who did I pay, how much was it, how long did it last, was it a 1-year, 2-year contract, etc. Was it the lowest possible bid? We've been working on those things for quite a few months now with staff and with Jody and Jeff and their help. We've cleaned these resolutions up significantly. It just happens that these items that I mentioned this evening aren't in the ordering resolution in the final paragraph. If they had been, I wouldn't be up talking about them tonight, so maybe we can fix that going forward, and I won't bring them up at all. Thank you.
Any other comments from the public on this item? Additional comments from council? Councilman Von Baeren.
Just a question for legal, for my own benefit. We are in agreements like this will ultimately be held to what's in writing. We understand that. So in terms of a resolution, if when we look back to this to say, what did we say? Is it the ordering paragraph that prevails, or is it the entire resolution document?
Right, certainly. The ordering paragraph, I guess, would be the ultimate description of what the council is doing if there is any ambiguity. So that is, I guess, the most important part of the resolution. It would be good practice to include general terms in that ordering paragraph, but I also see that there's going to be an agreement that's going to be executed, or the amendment will be executed. So that'll cover the terms as well.
Okay. Now, given that, it just seems prudent to pay attention to the detail on these.
Okay, additional comments from council? There's no other comments. I would take a motion. Councilman Vaughn.
Motion to approve as is.
Councilman Jensen.
I'll second.
Lathrop,
Aye.
Ganem,
Yes.
Ellis, Gibson, Jensen,
Yes.
Sukram,
Yes.
Von Baeren,
Yes.
Vaughn.
Yes.
The motion carries 8-0, Mayor.
Okay, item 13 is a resolution and file, not a resolution, to receive and file local option economic development fund LB 840 quarterly report. We'll now have staff report.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Angie Olson, Plan Administrator. So tonight, I brought to you the summary of the LB 840 Fund Program. It's a list of projects. And these are active and completed projects along with the fund balance that's included as well. The fund balance is currently $2,170,000. Known remaining committed funds include funds set aside for the Tech Park grant, funds set aside for Tech Park infrastructure, and that was done through Resolution 2022-172. That resolution was for 2.8 million, but only about 1.5 million are left to be paid out. So you'll see that in the fund report as well. And then also funds committed to the film I Am a Man. The fund grows by about 80 to 100,000 each month. And I'm here to answer any questions you might have.
Questions from council? Councilman Von Baron.
Angie, I know we discussed this earlier today. I was just trying to get my head around this. So right now, we're saying we're roughly 6 months out. And is that before we can grant additional funds, or would we consider granting additional funds and going further into the red? I'm just trying to understand the limits and the brackets on deficit spending.
Sure. Well, and that really is up to City Council. The plan does not prohibit us from using future funds. So that would come to, if we received an application, and it would go through the process and possibly come to City Council for the decision.
Okay, and so as I went through it, I couldn't follow the numbers, but the real, I mean, there were some questions between the charts that you provided and all, but I think that's my misunderstanding or failure to understand. So I would assume the 600,000 roughly is our true deficit right now. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Other questions? Okay, thank you. Comments from the public?
Susan Jacobus, 1805 North D Street here in Fremont. The balance sheet or the preliminary estimate, whatever you want to call it, excuse me, that's presented tonight. I wonder how we come to such a deficit on the money market side. At the end of October, there was over $1 million in it. And at the end of September, there was over $1 million in it. And at the same time, you know, I see where it had been stated that some of that payout had gone to Tech Park, of which you're now on the hook roughly $6.8 million invested from LB 840 in Tech Park. But the uncommitted funds has a huge concern. You're obligated on that $900,000, et cetera, so more or less. But where's your funding going to come when that next small business comes along or that next film comes along? You've obligated and overextended yourselves. The prior City Council, excuse me, had, for those of you that are new, but you're operating in the red. And you intentionally operated in the red by allowing us to overspend on additional monies for Tech Park to complete that and finish that, but that's not going to be done. And there'll be yet another ask coming down the pike to further complete more infrastructure for the Tech Park area. At what point do you back up and say, we need to have some of these property owners help foot the bill? Maybe not in its entirety, but like you do any other developer, when you have property and real estate that you're developing, that's assessed to the landowners or to the property owners. If you lived on an unpaved street here in Fremont, Nebraska, and you were a landowner there, and you had that residential or business and you wanted it paved, you would be assessed. This should be no different. You're operating in the red for the first time ever on an LB 840 fund. There's no guarantee of its growth, granted, but it's growing at a rate, what had been stated by Angie, at $96,000 to $120,000 per month. If this is all factual and this is what's left to pay out, you won't be able to do anything until towards the end of fiscal year. And that would be October. You've over obligated, and now your hands are further tied. So I don't also understand how all these numbers are taken to, because I've kept track of the LB 840 funds from the time I was seated, and it's been over 6 years. I've attended over 160 meetings. And I can't follow the path that this is taken. Some of you have had payouts. We've had only one in default, which when you look at the unbelievable amount of projects that the city has taken on through LB 840 and has enhanced and enabled businesses to open up shop here in Fremont, both large and small. It is unbelievable we've only had that one default. So a job has been done very well by the Greater Fremont Development Company, by the LB 840 groups, by the city themselves, and by furthering this taxing entity. However, I would caution on overextending yourself on any other projects that are not bearing in mind that you are further operating in the red, because you're locking your own hands and not allowing further development or any small businesses to come in and do another ask. And the prior council seated approved it. But you do have the ability to move forward and start recouping some of those dollars through assessments, maybe not in its entirety, but you can help lessen the red that's on these papers for LB 840 fund.
Additional comments from the public?
Brad Yerger, 2318 East Fifth. I'd like to focus my attention and comments on the document in your packet that's labeled the status of LB 840 funds. It's a one-page document that starts with the value of $2,173,090 and ends with the negative uncommitted fund balance of $592. My questions are these, not only as a former council member, but as a member of the public on this side of the podium now. The report that was given to council on 9/27 at the top of the page, commensurate with the 2,000,001, was a value of $3,258,000. That was before commitments. Since that time, I'm pretty confident that there have been lot sales. I think Mr. McGinn finally bought his lots, and the city should have received funds, and they should be in the LB 840 account. Not sure you can tell from this report that they are there. When you look at resolution 2022-172 that the former council passed, you passed a resolution for $2.8 million, which on the summary statements that were preceding this document that I'm looking at, you will find that $2.8 million was shown as committed by that resolution. It's not stated in the staff report, although I think staff just said, well, some of the money's been spent. And so when you look at the report that's in front of you, you only see Tech Park at $1,521,000, not $2,882,000. I ask whether any of you council members have seen the $1.3 million spend difference that accrues because of those two numbers since September. I couldn't find it. So maybe it was expended at some other time, but I ask you if you don't understand that. I don't at this juncture, and I was here when that resolution was passed. Also, the 505 building on the 9/27 report to you showed $155,000 on it. Now it's zero. So do you understand why that number has gone to zero? And why the items then for Morningside Business 505 and Wheelhouse Solutions are still shown on this as committed funds when they have zero balances? It may seem like it's not necessary since they're zero, but they are important enough to have listed on the report, I guess, and knowing what happened to the $155,000 might have been a good fact to report. I say all of that with regards to trying to understand as a member of the public, what do we have in the balance? It's critically important. We either have $592,000 deficit or we have something larger than that. If it's $592,000, you technically shouldn't be working in a deficit environment and pledging more money to economic development loans and grants, which is something that's really important to this city. We should be managing this on the bottom line in a black numeric environment. Keno, that was here just a meeting or so ago, had several grants and you gave out half the money. What if they had had twice the applications? Would they have been allowed to give out more money than what they had in the Keno fund? I don't think you would have approved it. So the fact that we are now working in the red on LB 840 is really putting the Economic Development Fund at a significant handicap, as we found out when the film industry came and wanted another $265,000 when you'd already committed more than what we had in the balance the meeting before. Those kinds of things shouldn't happen. We shouldn't, when these things go to committee, LB 840 committee and CART, those committees should be looking at this and saying, oh, we're in the red. We can't give this money now. Or we shouldn't be giving what's being asked to keep the fund in the black. Working in a deficit, I think, is bad city governance. And I encourage you not to do that. And if the committees can't and won't do it on their own half, I encourage you as a council to take action on that and instruct them not to operate in the red. Because I think it puts us at a detriment, just like we found out when the film committee was rather upset that they couldn't apply for money that they had in the wind, but we'd already committed all the funds and more than all the funds at the previous meeting. I really encourage you to try to make sure you understand this report before you receive it officially. If I've raised any concerns for you and you can't explain how we went from the $3.2 million balance we had in 927 to the negative 592. If you can't explain that yourself, based on what's been said in the staff report and the items and issues that I brought up, I encourage you to hold off on passing this until you have that information and can do so. Thank you.
Any additional comments from the public? Comments from council? Councilman Jensen?
Yes, I am on the LORC committee and I do understand that we're operating in the red. And I can't speak for anybody else on the committee, but we're not going to commit any further funds until we get this back to where it needs to be. It just isn't going to happen. In my mind, as far as how this came to council, when the film first came up to the LORC committee, we did not have a quorum. We actually had no meeting. It came to council without that meeting. And that's basically what happened. I don't think any of these are bad projects, but I completely agree. No more until we're back into the black. And this is going to be coming up for a vote over the next 16 to 18 months. It's going to be coming up again. So we definitely don't want to commit anything else until we get a vote from the public exactly how they want this fund handled.
Councilman Vaughn?
I did have a question about the zero balance accounts there, Morningside 505 and Wheelhouse Solutions. Finance or?
So to be honest, it's an Excel worksheet and those rows could have been hidden because they have been satisfied, but we do leave them on. There's not a future commitment there because it's zero. But in your city council claims, there was a check for $155,000 to the 505 building. Now, it's a little bit different with the tech park because if you recall, we requested council's approval to reimburse is it 58 and 56, which is infrastructure and streets. As the bills were coming due for the paving and the water improvements at the tech park, we were paying those using either street funds for the street paving or the infrastructure funds from sales tax to fund the payments for the water at that location. So when you would not see that coming through, you saw the payments made to Young Construction for that purpose, but the rest of it is all an internal, frankly, it's a journal entry because all of those accounts are in the same bank account. So it's not like we had to even write a check to each other or anything like that. It was simply a journal entry that basically paid back what was what had been in the LB, or excuse me, what had been taken out of those two. Forgive me, my cold is getting the better of me here. The amounts that were paid from the streets and the infrastructure funds were reimbursed from the LB 840. So that's why you see a part of that 2.8 is now down to 1.5. And that was just simply done with a journal entry because we do keep track of each one of those separately. Does that just leave you with more questions? Is there something else I can help you with?
Makes sense to me. Thank you.
Councilman Von Baron.
Jody, you may have just answered this, and I may not have been astute enough to catch the response. But for instance, right now, theoretically, what if we were to receive a $200,000 invoice from Jan for work completed in the tech park with a negative $600,000 balance? I would assume we're obligated to pay that. Where does that money come from?
So that's why there's still an amount of 1.5 million, quote unquote, left to spend. When we asked the council to consider that resolution, we had tasked Public Works Director at the time, Dave Godekin, to give us kind of a final estimate to final out the project. What is it going to take? And that $2.8 million, it was where we felt that was that project would come in. So that's why there's still some money in reserve or committed, I guess is the best word. You see the line there where there's still funds committed for the tech park.
Where does it physically, maybe I'm slow in the uptake. Where does the money physically come from? If this count is truly is a red,
it's not.
It's going to be drafted in from another entity.
No, I understand I'm sorry, I do understand the question. One of the commitments that's listed is for the separate line for the tech park, the $975,000. That is to repay the CDBG loan that was, and we have no requirement to pay that in the immediate future. We have until April of 2024 to either meet the requirements or pay the money back.
Councilman Ellis.
So we have some money in the bank account right now. Overall, if everything were to come due right now, we'd be in the minus 500, but we're essentially relying on stuff not coming due for a while. Okay. I really do appreciate the LB 840 is extremely important to the city, and it's really helped economic, and it helped our company as well. What I'd like to see is, I know it's extremely complicated, Angie, and you've done a really good job of trying to, to enlighten the city council as far as the information. I'm just wondering if we could see over, I'm not sure how often do we get these, every month or one quarterly? So if we could see just another report that says, okay, for the last quarter, here's the money that's gone out, here's the money that's come in. And that way it would allow us to see a little bit of far as, because we did write a check to like the 505 last quarter. So it could help us visualize some of the money coming in and out of the account.
Yeah, and I think some of the questions tonight maybe could be answered by something like that, but I would have to defer to accounting. They supply the report.
That's what I would expect.
And so I think Dan and Kristen and I could probably chat and see how we could come up with something.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Okay, any additional comments from council? Take a motion to receive and file the report. Councilman Jensen,
I'll make the motion to receive and file the local economic option development fund, please.
Councilman Sukram,
I'll second that. Vaughn. Yes. Von Baron.
Yes.
Sukram. Yes. Jensen.
Yes.
Lathrop.
Yes.
Ganem.
Yes.
Ellis. Gibson. The motion carries 8-0, Mayor.
okay, moving on to unfinished business is item 14, resolution 2022-213 to approve final acceptance of the Luther Road South paving project by authorizing the mayor to sign final pay application number 10 and final change order. We'll now have a staff report.
Good evening, Justin Zetterman, Assistant Public Works Director. This agenda item was originally on the previous council meeting. We received a call from a concerned citizen who had some questions about filing out this contract. So I met with that individual, discussed the questions with he had. Some was on there. There is some pavement that is cracked out there. In talking with the contractor and people who were on staff when the work was done, the contractor repaired and replaced everything that he was asked to do. And there were a few spots where, as I understand it, the previous public works director felt that the cracks were either not structurally significant, or we might actually be harming the intersection more by taking out panels and having kind of a patchwork is what I can understand from him. All of that I discussed with him, and everything that was done out there, as I said, was approved by the department when it was done. And that person seemed to accept the answers to the questions that we were able to give them when we met out on site.
Any questions for staff? Comments from the public?
Red Yerger, 2318 East Fifth Street. I just have two questions. One, it sounds like perhaps that inspection occurred after the repairs were done to the two intersections out there. I understand that Samuel had to be rebuilt and that Deerfield had to be rebuilt. Understanding of the contract is that's on the contractor, not on the city. I'd like to make sure that, and that you're sure, that the final closure of this bid does not include any repair work for those intersections, because I believe under contract, we're not liable to pay for those. The contractor is, so hopefully someone can speak to the fact that, yes, they're not included in the bid or the final work order that's being approved tonight, because if they are, they should be removed. The other thing that I would bring up is that this doesn't necessarily have to do with this payment, because I don't know that it's a contractor issue. It might be an engineering issue. But in addition to the complaints about the cracked concrete that I really feel ought to be fixed effectively before they're further deteriorated while they're under warranty, rather than for us to have to fix them at our own expense later. There was a concern with regards to the Deerfield Avenue Street having perhaps improper drainage, and that even in these lighter rains, the water is pooling out there where it doesn't belong. And that doesn't have anything to do with this finalization of the work order, but it may mean that we aren't finished necessarily with the work on the Deerfield intersection. So I raised that for purposes of staff to look into based on a citizen complaint, and ask you to make sure that you understand that the bill doesn't include any repair work for those two intersections, because if we need to get it further repaired, we should do it now, not later when it's our expense. Thanks.
Additional comments? Okay. Additional comments from council on this item? Councilman Sukram.
Yeah, this is a question for staff. I had drove out there and also had a call on the fire hydrants, or the lack thereof. You want to reassure there's going to be fire hydrants, several more put in?
I will have to look into it. I don't know if they are deficient, or it's all the work that was in the contract has been done. So if that is something that was a part of it or outside of it. I don't know. I would have to look into
Did we
that.
get any of that clarified up?
We talked, this is South Luther Road. Are you talking about
Oh,
29th
I'm
Street?
sorry, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong. Yep,
Oh, yeah.
yep,
Nope.
I'm sorry, yep,
That we're working on too.
okay.
Councilman Von Baron?
Justin, I realize you're at a disadvantage for the short time you've been here. So I'm just trying to get some clarification. Has the city formally, I mean, it sounds like there's still some potential questions with cracks and that kind of thing. Has the city formally approved this in writing with the contractor? Has it been verbal? Where I'm just trying to follow up a little bit on the future repairs question.
Sure. In the research that I've been able to do, and talking with staff who is still here at this time, I do have a punch list of all the items they were supposed to go through and fix that is signed by a member of the Public Works staff. The pavement was separate from that particular list of things. So I don't know that I have found anything that says anything more than it was verbal, but I talked to two people separately about the same issue and got the same answer. There were cracks in the pavement in different places. The Public Works director directed it was 6 or 8 different panels to be replaced, and those were replaced. And again, all I know is verbally, the others were accepted. And like I said, the contractor told me the same thing I heard from our inspector in totally separate conversations. So I led to believe that that's the situation we were in. So,
okay, I'm just trying to do a risk reward balance on this one, because if we haven't signed off on it formally and there's a potential, is this an item that I don't want to delay it, but should there be a more thorough, given that you're new and it's unfair of you, I think, to ask you to, give a final sign off. Is this something that we should give some further consideration before committing?
I don't know where everything would fall on this. This is, as you say, coming in.
I understand.
When I am, this work was originally done in 2021. The repair work was done in 2022, and now it's coming to try and final it out. So most of the pavement is already over a year old. So whether or not the warranty period on that is still there, I have not found that in the little bit of the contract that I had time to read tonight after the phone call you left me.
Sure.
It's a difficult situation. I have every reason to believe the contractor in good faith did the work and finished the work as he was instructed to do. And I don't disagree. There can be different disadvantages to having a whole bunch of single patchworked, unconnected pieces of pavement there that can also potentially over time lead to issues. And my guess is that was the concern and what the thought was.
Yeah, not trying to put you on the spot at all, just trying to understand on how we should vote on this, whether it's a prudent thing to say, okay, let's go, or maybe we should take another look. So thank you.
Sure.
I just want to say, Mr. Zedeman last meeting recommended we continue this because of a constituent complaint that he heard, and that he did go out to the site with the constituent, followed up, talked with the contractor, verified with previous, the public works staff. So I think we've probably taken this thing as far as he possibly can. And again, this was done back in 2021. So it's to a point where, I don't know how much more investigating there really is to do at this point, other than moving on and accepting the final change order. Councilman Vaughn?
Yeah, question maybe for legal. Would previous staff members' verbal and or possible sign off lock us in?
It would be an enforcement question that would likely be litigated. There may be other evidence that would reflect that those oral agreements did indeed occur, but we could would have a leg to stand on as far as it wasn't in writing. So where are you getting this from? The other problem you would have is the future of doing business, of companies doing business with the city. If we're getting around to suing all the contractors, then it might be difficult to get contractors. I know we've had a difficulty getting bids for projects.
Thank you.
Any other comments from council? Okay, take a motion in regards to this item. Councilman Vaughn.
Motion to approve.
Councilwoman Ganem.
Second.
Jensen,
Yes.
Sukram,
Yes.
Von Baron,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Lathrop,
Yes.
Ganem,
Yes.
Ellis,
Yes.
Gibson.
Yes.
Motion carries 8-0, Mayor.
Moving on to new business, item 15, resolution 2022-227 to approve the renewal of maintenance agreement number 11 for the 2023 calendar year and to authorize the mayor to sign said agreement with the Nebraska Department of Transportation. Now have staff report.
This is an annual agreement we've had with the Nebraska Department of Transportation, dealing with areas of state highway that we plow snow or help out and do work on, and some areas of city streets where they may just logistically, it's easier for their plows. Most of it has to do with Broad Street, which the council voted to relinquish at our previous meeting. I don't know when that will come back from the state. Assuming absolutely nothing happens is probably fair, but just in case, my suggestion is that you renew the agreement as it currently sits. And then once that agreement with the state to relinquish is formalized and complete, if we need to make an amendment to the agreement, we can come back and do it. But this way we're protected going forward into 2023 if necessary.
Questions for Mr. Zetterman? Okay. Comments from the public?
Brad Yerger, 2318 East Fifth Street. And I think staff may have answered this question, but I'll throw it out anyway, just to be clear, since this is a 2023 agreement and it is amendable. I'm glad to hear that. My concern was that the city and this agreement that we have before you tonight says that the state's going to plow from Cloverly to Judy Drive. It's broken up into 3 sections, but that's essentially what it's doing. And that's essentially, we're paying them for that, as I understand, and we're using that in offset because we plow some of the things that belong to the state or the county. So there's offsets. My question has to do with what happens for the 2023 snow season. If we can amend this and we get conveyance of Highway 77 before next winter, then the city will have to have responsibility to do snow removal, not the state. That's my understanding. And if that's accurate, then we would definitely need to amend the annual agreement to reflect that currently, because that's not what we have. So I'm glad to hear that that's the case. If we don't get conveyance of the street before next winter, then this will take us partially through the winter, through end of December. But you'd need another one potentially to handle 2024 for the rest of the winter months going into 2024. So with the fact that staff said we can amend this, my concerns maybe are alleviated, but I thought for sure we definitely need to be protected with regards to who's going to do snow removal once 77 is conveyed to the city. I mentioned this as a council member at the last meeting. I'm glad to see it came up on the agenda and that staff has clarified that it's amendable at any time. So that probably resolves the concern. Thank you.
Bless you. Any other comments from the public? Okay, additional comments from council on this? Okay, if there are none, I'd take a motion. Councilwoman Ganem.
I move we approve resolution 2022-227.
Councilman Jensen.
I'll second.
Lathrop,
Aye.
Ganem,
Yes.
Ellis,
Yes.
Gibson, Vaughn,
Yes.
Von Baron,
Yes.
Sukram,
Yes.
Jensen.
Yes.
Motion carries 8-0, Mayor.
Okay, moving on to item 16 is a motion to authorize the mayor to sign MOU with the IAFF to change the work cycle to match pay periods.
Jennifer McDuffie, Director of Human Resources. Going to keep this high level. We need to go into more details we can, but some of these topics can get kind of complicated. So most employees under the Fair Labor Standards Act are eligible for overtime after 40 hours worked in a week. When you come to firefighting employees and law enforcement employees, that Fair Labor Standards Act throws in some different options for you. Based on the Fair Labor Standards Act and the collective bargaining agreement that we have with the IAFF, our firefighters are on what we call a 28-day work cycle. Their overtime is based on a 28 calendar days. Long story short, right now that 28-day cycle ends right smack dab in the middle of a 2-week pay period. And it's a long process to try to calculate, and it gets very complicated for Dan and our payroll staff. So to alleviate some of that confusion, alleviate some of that manual work, and also to make it easier to do some automatic information conversion with our time clock system that we've implemented, we need to move that 28-day cycle so that it matches up with our payroll. So we worked with the union and we came up with an MOU that essentially the week between Christmas and New Year's, that is a 7-day cycle. The normal 28-day cycle will end on that Saturday. We'll have from Sunday through Saturday, we'll have one 7-day cycle, and then we'll start with the new 28-day cycle that will match up with our pay periods. So you will see in the staff report, it says that the approval by the IAFF membership is pending. You'll also see that we were able to update the packet on Friday with a signed copy of the MOU because their membership did approve it. So that is very high level. If you have questions, I'm happy to answer them for you.
Any questions? Okay, thank you. Comments from the public? Okay, any additional comments from council? Councilman Sukram?
If there's no more discussion from the council, I'll make the motion to authorize the mayor to sign the MOU and with the IAFF.
Okay, Councilman Jensen?
I will second.
Gibson. Ellis. Ganem. Lathrop.
Yes.
Jensen.
Yes.
Sukram.
Yes.
Von Baron.
Yes.
Vaughn.
Yes.
Motion carries 8-0, Mayor.
Okay, item 17 is an executive session to discuss update regarding pending litigation and discuss real estate matters. You do have a handout, council members, with the executive session, so we're would need a board member or a council member to go ahead and read number 1 if you so wish to make a motion. So Councilman Jensen.
I'll make the motion and move to go into executive session for the purpose of real estate matters and further for the reason that the executive session is necessary for the protection of the public interest.
We need to add pending litigation.
And you'll add pending litigation and real estate matters. Is that? Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Okay. Councilman Sukram.
I'll second that.
Motion has been made and seconded to go into executive session for the purpose of pending litigation and to discuss real estate matters. And for the further reason that the executive session is necessary for the protection of the public interest. Is there any discussion? Councilman Jensen, okay, all right. The pending motion is to go into executive session for the purpose of pending litigation and discussion of real estate matters and for the further reason that the executive session is necessary for the protection of the public interest. Go ahead, Tyler.
Gibson. Ellis. Ganem.
Yes.
Lathrop.
Yes.
Vaughn.
Yes.
Von Baron.
Yes.
Sukram.
Yes.
Jensen.
Yes.
The motion carries 8-0, Mayor.
Okay, a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of pending litigation and to discuss real estate matters and for the further reason that the executive session is necessary for the protection of the public interest has been approved. Discussion will be limited to pending litigation and discussion of real estate matters. No official actions or votes will be taken during the executive session. Okay, we'll now move to the back conference room.
Unless the attorney before we do that happen, yeah.
All right, Councilman Jensen.
Make the motion to come out of executive session.
Councilman Sukram.
Second.
Okay,
Bond,
Yes.
Von Baron,
Yes.
Sukram,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Gibson. Yes. Ellis.
Yes.
Ganem,
Yes.
Lathrop.
Yes.
The motion carries 8-0, Mayor.
okay, take a motion to adjourn. Councilman Sukram,
I'll make that motion.
Councilman Gibson,
Second.
Gibson, Ellis. Ganem, Lathrop.
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Sukram,
Yes.
Von Baron,
Yes.
Vaughn.
Yes.
Motion carries 8-0, Mayor.
we are adjourned. Good night, everybody.
Right.
Well, you did it. You made it through.